I've been making videos on YouTube for the past 5 years now, and looking back, it's wild to see how far I've come. I mean, as a solo creator or as a videographer. What started as just messing around with my camera turned into something that helped me grow, get better, and even make some money out of it. But trust me, it wasn't all smooth sailing. I made a ton of mistakes along the way, learned the things the hard way, and figured out what works and what doesn't. So in this video, I will share with you the lessons I wish someone told me when I was just starting out. Whether you're just getting into making videos or you're at it for a little bit, hopefully this helps you skip a few of those bumps that I hit along the way. When I first started filming, I didn't think twice about when I was shooting. I just grab my camera whenever I have time and just press record. Then later I'd check the footage and wonder why it looks kind of average. I mean, the lighting's flat and just not what I pictured in my head. Honestly, it felt like I was just wasting my time. After a few frustrating shoots, I finally realized it wasn't my camera. It wasn't my settings either. It was just the lighting. I wasn't paying attention to when I was filming. Now I plan around golden hour, that sweet spot either early in the morning or an hour or two before sunset. That is when the light is soft, warm, and just makes everything look better without even trying. I don't film all day anymore. I either wake up early or just chill a bit and wait until it's golden hour later on that day. Saves me a lot of time, my footages looks better, and less stress in editing. When I was just starting out, I thought soft lighting was the only way. Like every YouTuber that I watch had this big softbox setup or was filming next to a giant window with soft lighting. So naturally, I feel like it was really what I needed to do. Soft light equals professional, right? But then I started paying attention to actual movies and like really watching how they use light. And I noticed something. A lot of the most cinematic shots had hard light, like sharp shadows, bold highlights, and that kind of dramatic contrast that gives everything more depth and mood. So now I use hard light more often on my shots. I actually lean into it whenever I can, when it fits the vibe. You can get some really cool intentional looking shots with hard light, especially when you're shooting outdoors or just using it creatively indoors. If you really need to shoot between midday or it's not golden hour, you probably will get those hot spots in your shots. And this one I still mess up sometimes. You know those super bright blown out areas like overexposed windows or small patches of light in the background? They might not seem like a big deal when you're filming, but once you're editing, they stand out, and not in a good way. If you're shooting during the day, don't fight the sun. Don't frame it directly if you can avoid it. And definitely don't expose for your shadows while letting your highlights go crazy. Even if it means that your shadows get a little bit darker. You can usually bring it back in post, but clipped highlights, it's gone forever. I have to remind myself of this every time I shoot. A random bright spot can ruin an otherwise great shot and make it look amateur real quick. This one is super simple but makes a huge difference. Early on, I had no clue about this. I just point my camera wherever looked brightest, thinking more light equals better shot. But once I started playing around with angles, I realized that if you just move your camera to the darker side of your subject, the whole shot suddenly feels more cinematic. It adds depth, shape, and contrast to your shot. It doesn't matter if you're using a softbox, a hard light, or just a sunlight. If the light's hitting your subject on one side, stand on the other side, the shadow side, and shoot from there. It gives your footage way more character with almost zero extra effort. This one might sound small, but it makes a huge difference by just adding some light reflection on the eyes of your subject. If your subject is a person or an animal, try to get a little reflection of light in their eyes. It's called catch light or an eye light, and it instantly makes them look more alive. I didn't really notice it at first, but once you start paying attention, like in the movies, shows, or even in anime, that little sparkle in the eye just bring a character to life. Without it, the shot can look like a little flat or lifeless, even if everything is perfect. It doesn't take much, you just need to move your character or the source light that you have until you see that glint in the eyes. And honestly, once you start noticing it, you cannot unsee it. Here's a super practical one. Always grab 3 shots of whatever you're filming. Seriously, this saved me so many times. Especially when I'm not sure what exactly I need. I always default on these 3 shots, the wide, the medium, and the close-up. I don't know how many times I already told you guys this tip, but I want to reiterate it again because sometimes we're having a hard time figuring out what to shoot. Because this will give you options later in your editing. You'll thank yourself that you took these 3 shots. It doesn't matter if you use all of the shots, at least you will utilize one of them, or you can use one of them, or you can use all of them. And if you're gonna use all of them, your shot will be more dynamic because you have these 3 different perspectives. Even if it feels like repetitive, just do it. Worst case, you won't use them. Best case, you don't have to shoot again. This one took me a while to get, but once it clicked, it's like automatic already. I'm not talking about the 3D glasses or anything like that for the movies, but this one is just adding depth to your shot. This one is kinda similar to the shooting on the shadow side of your subject, but to take it further, you can add like foreground element like a plant, a glass, or anything that can add layer to your shot. So you have foreground, you have the subject, and then the background. This instantly gives more depth to your shot. And if you're shooting indoors and you have big space, put your subject on the farthest end of the room so you can create space for the background to separate. But if you have a tighter space indoors, you need to use a faster lens so you can blur the background using your aperture, or you can use a foreground element again so you can create those separations of layers. So it is nice to have a faster lens or a prime lens like 1.4 or 1.8 because sometimes you don't have that kind of separation of the background to your subject. So using a prime lens is a better choice, especially on tight spaces. These things might be so simple, but when you use them, it really adds a lot to your shot. And I wish I know them when I was just starting out, and it would improve my videos faster. And if you learned something from this video, please like, comment, and subscribe and all that stuff. And I will see you again next time. Thank you.